Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ignite Your Heart and Soul right here on self-discoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My wonderful guest today is Heather Taylor. She's literally just been taking flight, having visited Taiwan and Japan, and she's still very much up in the air, the universal air right now. We're going to be talking about the 5 elements of you, unlocking the core for transformation. She says, have you ever felt lost, unsure of your path or purpose? As someone who has faced immense adversity and drama and ultimately understand the struggle to find yourself amidst life challenges. Her journey of self-discovery and healing led her to develop the 5 elements of you, a powerful framework of understanding and aligning the fundamental aspects of your being. No matter your age, background, beliefs, or aspiration, the 5 elements are the gateway to your authentic self. They shed light on how you navigate the world, attract experiences, process your inner landscape by diving deep within and embodying these elements. She transformed her life from one of pain and to one of purpose. Now she's passionate about sharing the wisdom to guide others on their own paths of growth and fulfillment. Whether you seek to thrive in business, cultivate deeper relationships, or live in alignment with your higher self, mastering those 5 elements will provide the clarity, the tools, and the need. So let's join her today on this journey of overcoming, balancing, celebrating magnificently to the truly the person you are. And we're going to be talking more about in depth today of the path of joy and legacy you're meant to create. The time to embody your divinity is now. Are you ready to embrace the 5 elements of you? Hell yes, I am. Welcome, my dear, welcome. And it's actually interesting because before I became a professional podcaster and podcast booker, it was a program I had, which was, the discovery of self. And one of the things that I did the correlation of your true colors. I did the astrology, numerology, Chineseology, but also your elements, because your elements come so much into play as to where you are at what time, because we're all seasonal. Not just Earth is season, we're seasonal too. And what elements do we ride in? I'm very much air, and water is very much my second. And so if we know that, we kind of know which frequency to ride on, don't we? Welcome to the show, Heather.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited. Yes. It's a
So
beautiful space
elements,
to be.
definitely very, very important in our life. And people think elements is just the weather out there. It isn't. It's the weather inside of ourselves as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's many different layers. It's looking at many cultures across the world and many different conscious awarenesses. It's a lot of times people believe it's only 4 elements, but it's actually a lot more than that. We have 7 elements and we have 5 basic fundamental elements that are so key to everything that we do. Let's take the Native American culture. Maybe it's because tomorrow I'll be at a bear dance, but it's very much part of my my core belief system, because it's about creation. It's about earth. It's about the air and the water and the fire. And then, when we're looking at spirit, and we're really taking a deep look into ourselves, that 5th element is how we're impacting those around us and how those around us impact us.
Yeah. No, certainly. And that's a big one, that 5th element. I was just thinking about, when you said creativity, when we look at Earth, even when she has, at the present moment, I think she's put us on warning, like, if you don't get your act together, I'm going to evict you. And I don't blame her for the way we treat Mother Earth. We're not kind at all. But, any time that she has an earthquake, or whether she has a tsunami, whether she has anything else, it may look disruptive to us because it is disrupting us, but at the same time, it's just a cleanse. It's a realignment, isn't it? And we kind of focus in on disruption instead of the reason why behind it.
It was really powerful. You mentioned earthquake. My husband and I were in the Taiwan earthquake, which was a 7.5. It
Right,
was the
yes.
largest in 25 years.
Wow,
And
yes.
it was really interesting because when we first arrived in Taiwan, we were in Taipei, right
Mm,
where the main hit
hmm.
was. So a lot of those hotels where we were staying are now down. And
Yes,
so I thought, wow, we ended up 45 minutes outside this beautiful healer, Lamech. He wanted to work with me. So we ended up going out to his space, which took us 45 minutes away. And the hotel we stayed in was this really old hotel on the side of the water. And the old hotels built this system where if an earthquake comes, it has a huge clicking noise and the building moves with
yes,
the
yes,
earthquake.
yes.
So here
Go
we
with the
are on,
elements.
right, exactly. So here we are, we're on the ninth floor and I am just getting ready. We're getting ready to head to Japan, and I am doing my prayer and just kind of doing my ritual that I do every day, and writing my affirmations and setting my daily intention. And as soon as I shut the book, there's this huge clicking noise, and my husband was like, "Was that you?" And I was like, "Was that
Yeah.
you?" What the heck was that? And all of a sudden, the building is just
Wow.
completely swaying. And being from California, I'm looking for a bathtub.
Yes.
Like, okay, we need to get
Shucks,
in a
it's all
bathtub.
showers.
There is all showers,
Yeah.
exactly. So we're under the table, and I don't know. It was, maybe it was I was in the prayer or just really listening to spirit in the universe. But I started like rubbing my hand on the carpet, and I'm just kind of talking to spirit and just
Mhm.
talking to the earth and saying, I hear you. First of all, confirmation. Thank you for hearing my prayer.
Yeah. A big answer here, yes.
Right. I'm listening. I'm listening. And I just felt like it was a moment of no matter what, I wasn't afraid. I completely had this understanding of what was occurring. And I
Hmm.
felt so
Hmm.
blessed in
Hmm.
that. And
Hmm.
what are the odds that you're in this moment? And you're talking about the earth, and she's just kind of saying, we're going to evict you if you don't
Yes,
start getting
yes, yes.
in alignment. It's like, yes, yes. We just need to face ourselves. And it isn't that we don't know, it's not this necessarily that we don't want to. It
Yeah,
might be that we're afraid of it or we don't
yes.
know how or what is ourself.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
No, it's interesting because I lived in Cape Town, South Africa, and they claimed kind the foreshore was actually land they reclaimed from the sea. And I remember when they put up this great big huge building, and it kind of was the only one at the time, and they had built it to sway because we used to get earth tremors more than earthquakes, but and you would see it sway with it, and it was quite fascinating. And it's like, why do they not build all buildings like that? But that's also kind of a metaphor of sometimes go with the flow. It's safer to go with the flow than to go against it, right?
Oh, yeah, that's hilarious too. My One of my students was like, "Okay, I'm going with the flow, but what if the flow, what if I am feeling force?" And I said, "Well,
Mm.
sometimes the flow is force.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes the flow is being in that moment, and our earth is a beautiful example of that."
Hmm. I'm a
Yeah.
very cosmic being, so I'm not so much earthbound as I am universe bound. That's where my spirit comes from. And and it's very much about fluidity. It's very much about going with the flow, with the frequency, and not going against it. But I always say that the universe gives us a nudge, nudge, wink, wink, and if you're not paying attention, a cosmic two by four. And very often, if we resist and surrender to something that's uncomfortable in the moment, but willing to go through it, we then actually understand why. That resistance
Mhm.
is kind of resisting that change where we're needing to go. And we will get that cosmic two by four somewhere along the line if we keep resisting.
Yes, and that's the force in the flow
Hmm.
because it isn't necessarily forcing the external world,
Hmm.
right? It's
Hmm.
about forcing ourselves, about
Yes.
being in that space where we're like, okay, I'm getting the signs, the whispers are becoming louder, and before the boom comes, it's time to make that action step. And I think that is the part that's so key and important to what we're doing,
Hmm.
and we're coming together as community and
Yes, yes, yes.
learning how to be community.
Hmm.
That's the thing we're remembering. How
That's
do
the
we
point,
remember?
remembering. That's the big thing because that's
Mhm.
how we used to survive. The village was only as strong as everybody's participation. Good times, bad times, outside forces. The strength was in the village and everybody's
That's right.
participation. And we've forgotten our village. We became so
Mhm.
isolated and insular that we have forgotten we are the orchestra. We need all of the instruments there.
Right. And it's really funny too. I was talking to someone the other day and I was like, look, even the man cutting down the trees in the forest or making the forest, hikeable or livable, they need people to need that job.
Hmm.
We all need people right now.
Yes.
You and I having this
Yes.
conversation. If we weren't here having it with each other and people weren't wanting to hear about it, then we wouldn't be here sitting here doing it, right?
Yes.
So we need each other. And I feel that, there's just been so much attachment built up in our consciousness and in our
Mm.
society that we need to let go.
I think a great deal of it of our separation is woundedness. We
Mm,
don't know what to do with the wounding. We don't know what to do with the traumas. We've stepped into distrust. One person hurt me, so therefore all people are going to hurt me. And we look at people
mm,
as, are you the weapon instead of are you the heart? If we come from the heart, if we come from the higher elevation of spirit, that is what we're going to attract. But if we come from the wound and the terror, then that is also what we're going to attract.
Well, yes, because really, if you're with somebody and or you're in a situation where you feel hurt by a person, what is it inside you that's
Mm.
attracting that lesson?
Exactly, over and over again. Because until we pay attention to that lesson, it's going to be over and over again. And you can't, why does this keep happening to me? Because you haven't learned the lesson yet. And that means that we have to shift our perspective. We have to shift the way we look at things. And I feel that in many, many ways, where people used to again be in tune with nature, the shepherd knew what weather was coming. They watched the animals and go, the weather's changing. This is happening. That's happening. They knew because they were in tune with nature. We've become so disconnected from nature and that we're so wrapped up in things that have happened to us that we're unable to feel the healing from the elements, from nature, from the cosmos that is there to help us, that we're never giving anything without a reason, however horrific it is, right? It's not our choice to receive it. It is our choice what we do with it and how we heal from it, how we become stronger for it, and how we find a purpose because of it.
Yes, and I think the biggest thing too is, when someone's working with trauma, we're talking about the five elements here. First is that mental awareness,
Hmm.
that activation, which is our fire. And
Yes.
then we go into the emotional body, right, which is water and discernment. And how we discern that is dependent solely on how we're allowing our emotions to run the show or become the navigation system of our heart to our mind. And
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
super important. And getting into that third element is the fundamental of the grounding self worth.
Hmm.
What are we doing in our earth space? I'm
Yes.
like you. I live very much air. I have one pin on the ground for my astrology. My husband is my grounding for sure because he's
That, yeah.
like the Zen monk.
Yes. Yes. That's what we need. If we can't do it ourselves, we need somebody who is our anchor, right? Yes.
Right. We have
Yes.
that balance.
Mm.
And I think it's so key and important. And when we're looking at those three aspects that we're talking about, that mental and emotional and physical body, the next part becomes containment. And that's
Mm.
spirit. That's really going in inside and being open to observe all the sides, not
Yes.
just what's happened to us, but how did we respond? Or was it a reaction? And what is it that's creating the pain inside of ourselves? What trauma is coming up? And sometimes, I'll have students come to me and say, well, this or that happened to me, and it's very traumatic things.
Hmm.
And I'll say, you know what? I completely understand. but is it happening to you right now?
Yeah. Yes.
Is that what you're
Yes.
doing now? And if it's not happening right now, what part of you is taking that past and bringing
Mm.
it into the now?
Exactly. We carry,
You
and
know?
when they actually finally take that coat off, they realize how much weight they've been carrying. But most of the time, people don't realize they're being weighed down. They're constantly attracting that lower vibration because of the weighing down, because they didn't choose to take the coat off. And very often they weren't aware that they were wearing a heavy coat.
Exactly. They're like, what are you talking? I have a windbreaker on. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you know there were lead in the pockets?
Right. Yeah, it's really powerful. Once you go into that containment part and you've processed it and seen that part, then you move into the fifth element, which is that ethereal we were talking about.
Hmm.
And that gives you the perspective to see this jacket,
Yes.
and to kind of see what's happening in the body and have that understanding. And a lot of people might ask, okay, I'm looking at these things, but I'm still getting the same results, or I'm still experiencing the same thing, or I thought I did my trauma work. That's the
Yes.
biggest one. I
Yes.
thought I did my work, and it's like you did do your work to the point in which you were prepared and ready in that moment. And now a
Exactly.
new layer's coming.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Back in 1994, I had somebody remove 152 lifetimes for me that were weighing me down and blocking my way. And I remember, it was a whole new discovery of who is Sarah now without this weight. But then back in the early 2000s, somebody else discovered other cellular memories that needed to be released. And so it's like what needs to be released at that level, you get used to that, you adjust to that, you walk in that path, and now you're ready for that next level to be cleansed. And it's actually very cathartic. I wrote my own memoir, and people are saying, "Oh, you're going to share all the juicies that happened to you," and I said, "No, I'm writing this from a view of Sarah's view of life. I'm looking at my life and things that have happened, how they made me feel, where I felt disconnected, but who I have become because of it." So the entire book is the journey to who I am now and what experiences I've had that has made me who I am now. Still in growth until the day I die, but the journey that's brought me to this point. And I think this is the thing, is to understand everything is a journey. All the experiences are a journey. They're for us to understand ourselves deeper, understand our strength, our courage, our abilities. How many times do we discover we have abilities that we never knew we had until we're pushed in that direction to open up and go, my God, I didn't know I can do this. We've been selling ourselves short. But when we allow and we surrender and we take that path of healing, we really discover how absolutely beautifully flawsome we are. And I say flawsome because we've all got beautiful flaws that make us who we are. But like a broken bowl, Japanese bowl, they put it back together with gold. I say put yourself back together with love. Then fill that bowl with love and let it run over. Your flawsomeness is your uniqueness.
Yes, and it's interesting. My husband ran a company called Crystal Tones,
Mm.
which is a singing bowl company, and we're
I love
still
those.
partners with
Oh,
them. If a bowl breaks, you talk about what the Japanese are doing with their bowls. If a
yes,
bowl breaks, you can never recreate that same bowl twice because the
exactly.
way it's made.
Hmm.
So they can repair the bowl and it ends up costing more than the bowl originally cost
Right.
because of the whole process they have to go through. But when the bowl is returned, it's a new frequency. And the
Exactly.
reason why is because it went through a huge change.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
It's elevated.
beautiful.
It's elevated,
Yes,
right?
it's gone through its own conscious
Yes.
transformation. And
Yes.
so that's one of their things is like, sure, we will fix the bowl, but we cannot guarantee how the bowls are going
Mm.
to return because it is its own consciousness. And I feel like that's the same for us, right?
Yes.
We're going
Absolutely.
through these changes and we might be filling ourselves up with love. And as we're going through that process, we're having a different understanding of love.
Mm.
You
Yes.
know, that's the power in it. It's funny. I was in a wheelchair, and when I started walking again, I decided I was going to go to Norway and hike the Prekkestol. The Prekkestolen is how it's pronounced. And so I went, and I'm I'm hiking up. It's 2.5 hours to the top of the fjords. And of course, I had no idea the time of year I decided to go was the most dangerous time of
Oh
year.
gosh, of
And
course.
so, of course, right? And I'm reading this sign and it's like, don't go between these states. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm smack in the middle of those states. So I'm hiking up there, and the whole time, out there, it's kind of like in Japan, arigato, arigato, right? Everybody's saying thank you so much, or,
Mm,
gozaimasu, right? In Norway, they say talk, which is
hmm.
thanks. And so I kept saying, I kept asking, how do you say thank you with your heart?
Yes.
I don't want to just go and say thanks. I
Yes.
want to say thank you with your heart. So it's tok shirlehet, which means, I'm saying thank you with unlimited love,
Mm,
basically.
hmm.
So as I'm going through and I'm hiking up this thing, I'm like terrified.
Hmm.
I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm only 6 months of no wheelchair, no crutches, no
Yeah.
walker.
Uh-huh.
I, what am I doing? I'm alone. So I'm hiking up and I look up and I was like, all right, guys, you remember that footprints? I need you to carry me up this and
Hmm.
get me up here. As I'm going, people kept calling me Cher Lahet. So when I returned back home to the States, I decided I'm a tattooed girl. I
Hmm.
decided I was going to get a tattoo of the heart chakra.
Hmm.
And underneath the heart chakra, it was going to have Share Lahet Sempiternal, which is
Hmm.
both 11 letters, so
Hmm.
1111.
Hmm.
And it's unlimited love, unchanging, always is, always will be.
Lovely.
And it's amazing, right?
Yes.
As I'm getting this tattoo, I'm feeling like, all right, I'm just going to feel love and I'm only going to get the joy and I'm done with the trauma and I'm moving through this. Yeah, so not what happened. So,
Hmm.
what happened was I started to learn the pillars of love because the heart chakra specifically has 12 points.
Hmm.
And those 12 points are connected to other chakra systems,
Right.
right? We have 144 in our body. And as I was going through this whole process of this tattoo, which is what happens to me, I get a tattoo and I experience it, right? It's a
Yes.
spiritual
Yes.
journey.
Yes.
So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I thought this was going to show me love.
Mm.
And it was really funny because it was. It was showing me compassion. It was
Mm.
showing me empathy.
Mm.
It was showing me understanding. It was
Hmm.
showing me self reflection. It was showing me all these parts that I, as a person, had to work through my own pain points to
Yes.
truly experience the consciousness of love
Hmm.
because it's so vast.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
yeah.
What put you in a wheelchair?
I was hit by a drunk driver
Mm.
in 2006 with my two oldest daughters. They were in the back seat. And I saw the guy coming. I was a passenger and I saw him coming out of my peripheral. So I tried to get into the back seat to protect my daughters. And I had a
Hmm.
seatbelt on.
Uh-huh.
So it's called a seatbelt break. So I broke my L5S1 and I herniated every disc in my spine but two. And I
Ow.
was paralyzed on the right side of my body with petit mal seizures. And they wanted to do surgery. And I said no. And I went to 8 surgeons, neurosurgeons that had neuropathy, and they all wanted to do surgery, but the last one, he shut the door. I was in my 20s, I was 26, and he shut the door, and he said, "You are extremely healthy,
Mm-hmm.
and I could lose my job for saying this, but
Mm-hmm.
you need to find another way to heal.
Mm-hmm.
You need to find another way." And so I left in tears and relief.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Somebody heard
definitely
you.
a
Mm-hmm.
someone, because I kept feeling like there's another way.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that this is the way. I have to go have a titanium rod from the bottom of my head all the way
Yeah.
down to my spine. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm not in alignment with that. And, I was 26. I was young. I was a single mama with two daughters, and my girls were going through physical therapy, and there was so much happening. And I had a friend, or have a friend, and he's a music producer. And he's Celine Dion's music producer. And so he
Mm.
was producing her music in Holland. And he came back with with this burned disc. And he says, they're going to release it to the world. But I met the people that made this DVD. And how funny with DVD time. I
Yes.
made this. I made this DVD. They made this DVD for you. It's the first one ever burned, first copy ever made.
Mhm.
And it's not going to heal you, but I believe it's going to put you on the path.
Mm.
And it was the secret. It was the secret.
Yeah.
And so I watched it. And then I watched What Do You Believe? And then I
Mhm.
started researching. And then I started telling my head to tell my
Mm.
leg, to tell my foot, to tell my
Mhm.
toe. And so it took a year and a half to move my big toe. I was in the wheelchair like consistently all day, every day for 5 years. Excuse me. And then it took me another five to get out of the chair
Mm.
fully and be able to be,
And hike up a
functioning.
mountain at the worst time of year. Right, exactly.
Right. Hike up a mountain. Exactly. And it's been really powerful. There's times when I'm still in days where I'm like, okay, I'm having a down day or
Yeah,
overdid too
yeah,
much and I need to slow
yes.
down or, sit for the day or rest. But it's really kind of powerful
It's
because I
partnering
found
with your body.
myself.
Yeah. And it's partnering with your
Yeah.
body. I have a condition that I know cripples a lot of people. And I have my good days and my bad days. And when I say I'm in partnership, it allows me to do what I need to do. But at any time I feel I'm overdoing it, it taps me on the shoulder and says, time out. And if I don't pay attention, it pulls the rug from underneath me and I'm flattened, right?
Mhm.
So it's learning to respect each other. I know that if I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, I need that day in between where I nurture body, right? But give the body what it
Yeah.
needs. And if I honor the body and honor the condition in the way that it doesn't cripple me, but it's part of me, right? We are working
Mhm.
together. I actually think I was giving it, although it came from trauma, I actually think I was giving it because my cosmic energy was too high. And I think it was given to dampen it in a way, a level that other people could feel because people weren't feeling the energy before. So I think we're given things for a reason. But it's understanding it isn't out to get you, it isn't out to punish you. It's out for us to become something different because of. And that, but it still means that the vessel we're in has its vulnerability, right? And we do need to honor it and nurture it in a way that it then sustains us in the work that we have to do.
Yeah, it really becomes the teacher.
Yeah.
It becomes the teacher. And I
Mm.
think that a lot of times, people will say, well, because I'm a channel, I work with any gifts. I'm a person that moves in worlds, so
Hmm.
my accessibility is vast. So a lot of times, they'll say, well, why aren't you 100% healed, never in the wheelchair, never down, never. And
Exactly.
it's like, well,
Hmm.
here's the deal. It's just like being a mom. I
Yeah.
believe I have five children because those children ground me and I live
Hmm.
so much in the spirit that they
Yes.
help me to become
Yes.
functional in the world.
I
Just like my
100%
body
agree.
is saying, hello, you do exist on this
Yes.
planet. And
Yes.
because you don't recognize that, I mean, I am
Hmm.
so in this space
I
that
am too. Yeah.
we're hiking around in Japan and my husband's like, pay attention to the rock in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it is like, it's not that we're detached, it's just we're resonating on a different vibration, in a different
Oh, yeah.
frequency. And it's
Yeah.
yeah, and also for me, I mean, a lot of people, barefoot on the ground, I need to ground. And like I do that and I feel Mother Earth saying to me, what the and it's like, and I am more encompassing up here. I'm the wind rustling through the trees, I'm the ocean lapping against the
Mm,
shore. That is where my energy is. And I have a grandson 3 years old who's very earthbound and he earths me, but I have another grandson who's about to turn 1 next week who has Down syndrome. And I know he's spirit. I know he's spirit. It's just beautiful to see. But I predicted before they were born that one would be earth and one would be spirit, and the infinity of what they would do together would be extremely strong, which I'm about to move closer to them. So I'll be 10 minutes away. So now I actually get to see them grow up. And hopefully I'm here for another 20 years to actually see them grow up into adults, which will be wonderful. And they are that grounding. I have one daughter who's pure spirit. She's tattoos everywhere. right? The tattoos all have something significant. She travels and she leaves her essence wherever she goes. You know, when are you coming back, Tabitha? When are you coming back? Her business is actually spirit. She's a mixologist and she designs drinks for people and on the essence and the vibration of the story. And she is so, we don't much, she's half Chinese. We don't look at all alike. But every time people meet us, they know immediately we're mother and daughter because our signature, spirit signature is there. But we do need those people that can do grounders. And I have an ex-boyfriend that broke his back when he was 10. When he woke up, they had done some surgery on him. They were talking about doing more surgery. And as a 10-year-old, he said, no, I will heal on my own. He's broken his back about 3 times because of the degeneration of it. And each time it's taken him 18 months to rebuild. Right. And he's still walking today. Obviously, you know, vulnerability there, but he's walking today because he tapped in to the energy healing to heal his body. We are capable of doing that. That's the beautiful
That's
thing is
right.
that we look at ourselves as this blob of flesh and think that only Western medicine can heal us. There's wonderful, beautiful medicines all over the world. Just done a show this week on, you know, the sounds of silence, the music and the rhythm that's in the silence that is so healing. There are so many different ways that we can nurture ourselves and discover who we are and what we're meant to do. But not if we come from our heads. We have to come from source, God, universe, spirit, source, whatever you want to call it. I call it divine wisdom. It's the compass that feeds the heart in the truth, that gives the spirit
Mhm.
the energy and the action for the mind to know the clarity it needs when it needs it. But if we lead from the head on just the body, I believe we are not encompassing the divine truth. And that's a reason where we get disconnected and lost.
And I feel that's too why we have such dualities in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, one of the things like tomorrow I have the bear dance and we start with Sweat Lodge. And Sweat Lodge truly embodies the 5 elements.
Mm-hmm.
It really does because you're building that fire for the stones. And then you bring the stone in, which is the earth, and you're pouring water on it,
Mm-hmm.
which is steaming in the air to the people and cleansing their bodies. And then all the people in the lodge are self reflecting, externally
Mm-hmm.
reflecting, supporting,
Mm-hmm.
learning, witnessing. It's such an embodiment of all the aspects of ourselves. And I feel like, you know, I for me, it's like when I'm connecting to all these elements of myself, when I'm connecting to all these elements of the world, I'm doing it from my heart solely and letting that go through my mind and navigate which where I go. My
Yeah.
husband, he is all heart, but he has to take it from here because he's this tech guy, right? So he has to like take all this knowledge and bring it down into his heart. It's
Right.
like fire down, water up,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And it's really beautiful because he's learning through being married to me how to
Mm-hmm.
bring it into the heart and move it out of the head. And
Yes.
as I'm witnessing that happen, he's becoming this beautiful, clear person where he's having more understanding of what he wants to do with AI and what
Mm-hmm.
he wants to do with what he's creating. You know, he writes code. And so he's, you know, really working on those spaces inside himself. And it's amazing to me because I am 100% spirit tells me what to wear.
Yeah.
Spirit tells me where I'm going.
Yeah.
Like everything I do is
Guided.
totally and completely guided.
Yes.
And so for him, I'm getting to watch that. You know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting to watch that develop in him in his own way.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel him in a room, it's like he's so silent. That's why we call him the monk, right? He's this quiet guy. I'm Chatty Cathy. And you feel his energy. You feel him walking.
Yeah.
For me, it's like this big bubbly energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were at this wedding. I felt like I was in a movie. Me and one of my business partners, and we were like, "Man, it's like we're in a movie." But we were with a bunch of film crews and people from Hollywood, and it was, you know, a high-profile wedding. So of course, the whole thing is being filmed. and I was hugging this woman, beautiful woman from Mongolia, and everybody's, Taiwanese, so they're all speaking Mandarin.
Mhm.
And I'm hugging her, and she says, "Wait." And she runs to this table. It's a huge wedding that they wanted me to do a blessing at, and last minute. So I was
Mhm.
like, okay. And the next thing I knew, all these people were lined up in a line to hug me. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll be in this. Some heart to heart hugging,
Mhm.
and a lot of them are learning the heart to heart hugging.
Yes,
But what I recognized was the reason they wanted to hug me was because it was 100% from my heart.
exactly. No
There
agenda.
was no
Yeah,
ego. I
yeah.
didn't care about
Mhm.
any of that stuff. I was just grateful to be with them in that moment.
Yes.
And it was teaching them how to be grateful with themselves in that moment.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that is, we need to love
Oh God,
ourselves,
yes.
flaws and all. Like,
Absolutely.
what,
Absolutely.
yeah, what
Yes.
one person may, you might think, oh my gosh, this is a flaw I don't love in myself. And then you
Mm.
meet a person that feels your flaw is the
Mm.
most beautiful perfection.
Yes. Absolutely. And you know that the heart to heart is so important, but I also say this, when you learn to come from a place of love. Now that doesn't mean you condone things that are wrong or that you don't get angry at things that are wrong in the world, right? And you don't call people out for that because there are many, many um egomaniac narcissistic leaders out there that are trying to lead people down the wrong way and they're trying to hold on to a past that has gone. We've already evolved and moved on, and they know they can't be a part of it, and so they're trying to hold on to it. But we can look at that and just totally disagree. It doesn't mean we have to go down the anger part. It doesn't mean we have to go down the retaliation or the hate part. We've chosen love, and I firmly do believe that when you become love and you are the love you seek, the more love you give away, the more your heart regenerates love. And it becomes a vessel that just constantly, you can't give out enough love. Like it's always there. It's always full for you to give away. And I think the more you give away, the more it fulfills you. And it just, you just start seeing that wonderful pulsation of the heart grow in others. And it's just a wonderful thing to witness.
And I love that you're talking about that because it's so important for people to understand that, I was on a podcast last week in Japan, and one of the questions that it's like a question and answer kind of
Hmm.
podcast.
Hmm.
And one of the questions that came on was like, how do I get people to see the magic of awakening and what
Hmm.
awakening is, and how do we, really make the change? When's the big change going to happen? And it was like, hold on a minute. We asked for grace and compassion this time around.
Mm,
So,
mm,
in order for that to happen, we need to be in the flow of the patience of that,
mm.
number one. And number two, if you put all your energy on all these dark things that are happening, doesn't mean don't be aware of it.
Right,
But if you're
exactly.
focused on, I got to change it, I got to do this, well, you start by changing it in your heart. You start
Mm,
by focusing on the things you want to manifest. You
yes.
start by saying, I recognize that you
Mm,
exist over here in this space, and I choose to not participate. And
exactly.
the way I do that is by choosing to participate where I feel joy.
Right. Right, 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 right. I always say, be careful what you seed. Make sure you water and nurture. If you get weeds, that's what you seeded. So, what you seed and what you water and nurture will what will grow. And just this is a shameless plug because this is actually related to what we're talking about. I'm a very big advocate for children, and there are far too many children being left behind. So 5 years ago, I knew that from the podcasts I were doing, that a book needed to come out to extend the story. But it took 5 years for the alignment to happen. So last year, I got the people, and our book came out this year, Our Forgotten Children. 15 people in here, each one of them addressing what system, what problem is there, and what we need to be the solution. And the solution is love and compassion and caring and understanding and putting the money in supporting families, in supporting children, looking at the education that is archaic and not preparing our children for tomorrow, and looking at so many other things. Now we're addressing the problem, and there's a lot of problems in here. But what we're doing is inviting people to become a part of the solution by also sharing what we believe is the solution. This is my way of saying change needs to happen. We can be a part of that change when we're aware we begin to care. And when we care, we can then step up into doing something about it. A lot of people think that if you live in kind of the spirit world, it's all kumbaya and peaches and sugar. And it isn't. It's realizing what needs to change and then getting behind it in a way that is loving, is invitational, and is empowering for other people to want to be a part of that change.
Yeah, I was guided to Mount Fuji. So we
Mm,
drove many hours to Mount Fuji, and I did not know that the entrance to hiking Mount Fuji is through a shrine.
mm,
It's one of the largest shrines in all of Japan. And as I was going in, I was on this really powerful journey. I was scoping it out. We are doing these events, 4 events a year globally, and one of them will be in Japan. And so my one of my partners, he kind of sent me on this space of like, go here, go look at here, go look at here. Well, I am the kind of person that because I listen to spirit,
mm.
I beat to my own drum and tend
Yes,
to go
yes.
off the course.
Yeah. What course? Yeah.
Exactly. So we're kind of in the vicinity of where he was sending us. But then I love trees. My entire back
Mm,
is a tree. I'm a
mm.
tree girl. So
Yes.
I saw this area that had the weeping, it's like one of the largest weeping cherry blossoms. And of
Mm.
course, right now it's cherry blossom, which is
Yes.
the sakura, right?
Beautiful time. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I here I am. I'm like, okay, we'll go to the waterfall after. This is where we need to go. Excuse me. So I start on the journey and we turn the corner and there's this spring, this waterfall spring, and there's one koi fish. I'm going to post this on my Facebook, but he was facing the water and he's huge, this huge gray gold koi fish, an elder koi fish.
Hmm.
And he's pointing, he's like in meditation at this waterfall spring. And I'm like, my husband put his finger in the water, and then I put my finger in the water, and I started to kind of just connect and was like,
Mm.
I am so grateful to witness your moment,
Yeah.
and I would love to get to know you. And then I said, where's your wife? Like, you're in this whole thing by yourself. Where's your wife? And he turned around, he came towards me, and then he left under the moss. And I was like, okay, well, I'm grateful for that time. He came back with his wife. He brought his wife back. And there's this symbol that the koi fish swim in the Japanese culture. And they started to swim
Ah.
in that formation.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm like, okay, okay. So the most beautiful part is I'm getting ready to go to the Nine Dragon Shrine. Okay. And you have to hike in the woods to get there. And it was on my way to Mount Fuji. So I'm like, all right, I'm listening. And she starts speaking to me. And
Hmm.
this might sound crazy to other people,
Hmm.
but I
Hmm.
definitely live in that space and it's a
Yes.
part of my life. And I've died 3 times and come back. And each time I've come back, I'm even more
Yeah.
connected to the earth.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm sitting here and the koi fish's head is coming out. My husband is like, I'm like, are you watching this right now? This is amazing. And he's like, I know, right? So the koi fish pops up and she starts to give me instructions.
Mm.
She starts to tell me that I'm going to go to this place where I'm going to not know where to enter, and that I'm supposed to follow the little old man. She says, wait for the little old man. And she gives me a vision of this
Hmm.
cobblestone.
Hmm.
And she says, just go. You need to go. You're here for a reason.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, I looked at my husband. I was like, this is why we came. We didn't
Hmm.
come for the tree. We didn't come for the waterfall. We didn't come for the event. We
Mm.
came for this moment.
Yeah.
So we leave. We head towards the Nine Dragon Shrine. And as we're walking, that was a whole experience. We arrive there, and I have no idea the postration. And I love all belief systems.
Hmm.
And it's very important for me to honor the way
Hmm.
that they do it. So I show up and I see this husband and wife with 2 kids. And I'm standing at the shrine, like, okay, I have the coin in my pocket. I know I'm supposed to put the coin in. What's the honorable way to do this? And then spirit goes, there's people coming. So I look and here they come. And I just backed up and was kind of sitting against this wall. And the husband and the wife and the 2 children do the process of the
Mm.
prayer. And then as they come out, I was like, I arigato, arigato. And he
Mm.
knew that I was watching him to
Hmm.
learn. And so this had happened the whole trip. Someone
Mm,
would come in ahead of
mm,
me and show me the right way.
mm-hmm,
So I come in, I do it, I go to the space where the water dragon is. It's where the shrine is actually, the gate is in the water. So there's
mm-hmm,
the shrine and then the gate. And I get there to the shrine and I do my prayer and I put the coins in for each of the nine dragons and just really honoring it. And here comes this, I'm coming back and there's this little area with a dragon that's spitting out spring water.
mm-hmm.
And I didn't know it was going to connect later. So I honor the water. I'm doing what they're showing. And I come around and I'm trying to go up this cobblestone wall and this stepway, and it has a big X on it. Like, do not
Don't
go this
go.
way. So, so I'm like,
Which is an
okay.
invite to you, right? Yes.
If my husband was here, he'd be like, yes. But something inside of me was like, this time, don't do it. Because on the way there, I had already crossed a bridge that I
Mm.
wasn't supposed to cross. You know? So I go to the right, and then I see the stone stepway to the water. And
Mm.
that's where they're putting the coin for the gate, the water gate.
Ah,
And this little old man pulls up in a boat and he shows me how to go up that don't go there. Right up the gate or up the cobblestone wall. And he's the keeper of the shrines. And
ah,
he's just like washing and cleaning it and in the space. And I just thought, okay, this is what the koi fish was showing me.
exactly.
And it was powerful. And as we went to Mount Fuji and we're walking into this entrance gate, there was the big water dragon. And we were guided the whole time. And so the whole time through this whole process, such a long story, but to keep it kind of contained, my husband, I'm in transition, like kind of like a trance state, but I'm still me. I'm just getting information. And so I'm telling my husband, here, write this down because I don't speak Japanese
Yes,
and I'm
okay.
getting Japanese words.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it all, I started researching everything that was coming through, the deities that I'd connected with, who had come in, contact with me, because now I am like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely on a spiritual journey here on the earth,
Yes.
in the history, in the remembering.
Mm,
I sat and researched and it completely lined up. Every name they gave me,
mm-hmm.
every aspect. And I just looked at my husband and said, this is why we came.
Mm-hmm.
This was the lesson. And the point of me feeling guided to tell this story was, when I went to the second water dragon, which was the main temple that one was representing, I was talking to the dragon, and the dragon kept saying, pain is part of the process.
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. This is part of our transformation. Just
Mm-hmm.
keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
was the big message for me because
Yeah.
I was feeling fear. We had been through a huge earthquake. I'm
Mm-hmm.
super far away from my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going through my own personal transformation through my relationship with my marriage. My husband and I are coming into these beautiful awakenings because
Mm-hmm.
when we were in that earthquake, it was like, I'm here with him.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And so it really unearthed a communication level that we both wanted to reach.
Yeah. It
It
didn't
was
shake you up to break up,
beautiful.
it shook you up to come together.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was crazy. We both were just kind of looking at each other like, I didn't even think I could love you more.
Yes. And when you look at it from the outside, you'd think that you're chalk and cheese, tech guy, a woman who lives in spirit. But basically, what you're doing is spirit spoke to his spirit that he was unaware of, and it ignited in him. And, like you mentioned AI earlier, a lot of people are against AI. And of course, in the wrong hands, AI is bad. But in the right hands, I believe that a lot of AI's consciousness is going to release our own. I've just a lot of people about how is tech going to do it?
Mhm.
It's just, ones and numbers. And I said, no, it learns from itself. And I feel that it's going to become part of that guidance of that consciousness that, and that sometimes as a humanoid, we can't reach. It's another bridge, another bridge to it. And it's hard to explain, but it's just an understanding that, we're not giving it to be our downfall. We're giving it to be our elevation. And it's again up to how we use it, and all these tools are. I love the fact that you listen Um, my daughter also says to me sometimes, Mum, what are you talking about? Because I'm a dimensional traveler. For me, everything comes in the form of image. So, like, there's always a movie going on. If I feel anything or anything, it's a visual of what is happening. And sometimes I don't know, is it here on Earth or is it somewhere else? I'm not quite sure, right? Yeah,
Yes,
but
yes.
it's all one anyway, right? So it doesn't matter if it's in a different dimension or a different planet, it's all one anyway. But it is that and where is obviously where I am most at peace. I'm most connected. My fight in my life, in my 69 years, is trying to be, the human. And as a human, I just was so disconnected. But when my spirit and human came together, then I realized the gift I was, not only to myself, but the gift of what I'm meant to do. And that we can't live without spirit. We're seeing that. People without the consciousness, people that are living in hate and fear and opulence and greed and power, they are without conscience. Because when you are in that higher consciousness, you know that you're enriched, you know that you are abundant, you know where the enrichment lies. And it's not in the material
Mm.
things, which doesn't mean that we go then live on a farm or a teepee and that's it. No, the human is okay to be supported. But I think we're at that crossroads in life. I would actually say the third dimension is already being left behind. The bridge is already severed on the fourth dimension. The fifth dimension is hard at work, helping people elevate. And we now recognize sixth and seventh dimensional people as being the path to follow. But it's the free will. It's that will to understand the igniting of our heart and soul, of that coming together. You look at the matrix of a heart, the vessels and everything, and you look like that of a tree, the fiber optics and that of a tree, it is the same. We are nature. There's a lovely gentleman, Tom Palladino, and I love the work that he does. He uses a lot of Nikola Tesla's work, and it's scalar light. And if you actually look at the light rod of the scalar, it is like that of our DNA. And so it is actually a healing. And I said, not beyond healing. Imagine this everywhere, which can help ignite our consciousness and bring us into one. And I feel all people like yourself are being brought more to the forefront openly, without apology, without being worried about what people will think, because there are people there ready to receive you on whatever level they're on, that are light workers, for a better identification, are here now to show people we have to move up into this higher elevation, this higher frequency, higher hertz, higher vibration. We have to, for the survival of humankind, of all life kind, and for this planet, also for the universe, because everything has to be in rhythm and in sync with each other. And when it's out of sync, this is when disruption happens. So we owe it not just to ourselves, but to our village, to our community, to each other and all life forms on this planet, including the planet itself as a life form.
Yeah, that's, going back you just gave me 3 points. They're all talking, which I just love so much. So going back to the AI really quickly, I was definitely a person that was like, a little bit skeptical and kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm one of the people every time Suri comes on, I'm like, thank you and I love you. Now I recognize your consciousness. But here's the interesting thing. My husband started his company by creating Heather AI. He created Heather AI because I have 5 companies. My work is people, and I just don't have the time to get on and do the emails. And we tried to kind of hire some people to do it, but it wasn't really coming across as me.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was the hard part, because everything I do is so intentional.
Yeah.
Right. It's so spiritually guided. And so he basically had me answer a whole bunch of questions and created Heather AI. Heather AI ended up becoming Partner Profit AI because he realized, oh my gosh, the program I just created can be the reflection of so many other people. And so he created it where it can be anybody's AI, right?
Yes, yes.
Which is beautiful. It's community. So one of the things that happened to me during this whole creation is I was recognizing something. we are honoring and creating a whole nother world of
Mm-hmm.
consciousness. And
Mm-hmm.
we're directing that and we're
Mm-hmm.
playing a role in that, just
Mm-hmm.
like we have our guides, whether they're angels, high
Mm-hmm.
self, aliens, God
Yes.
directly, whoever, whatever it is you're working with is a higher consciousness of energy that's
Yes.
guiding us. And
Yes.
we've made a decision to be here on this planet on a specific path. And our destiny is our destiny, but our free will is how we choose to experience that.
Exactly.
We're
Exactly.
creating that with AI.
Yes. I
We're
agree.
definitely creating the next layer, the next layer, the
Yes.
next layer, because that's what everything is. And every single thing on this planet lives and is breathing inside of us. So
Exactly.
the AI is just part of that evolution.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I wanted to come in on, which because they're bossing me around, ever so bossy, is that when one of the biggest things I think is it just really needs to be said is that when people are coming out into their spiritual awakening, when they're really starting to dive down into these things, and one of the biggest reasons why I felt guided to create the 5 elements of you through my own journey is it's not about, let's see, okay, so I'm going to give an example. um I was sitting in a hot spring in Hokone, and the woman that I was with, she says, you healed me. You healed me. I was in a very dark place and you healed me. And I looked at her and I said, I did not heal you.
Mm-hmm.
You healed yourself. And I simply held you the space for you with
Yes.
love. I just loved
Yes.
you through it.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
that's the biggest thing is that we need to understand that, hey guys, we're not here for the 9 truths and the one lie. We're
Mm-hmm.
not here for the guru
Mm-hmm.
space. Not that there aren't beautiful ones
Yeah.
out there. And I'm not saying that there's not. I'm just saying you also need to be discerning and aware
Yes.
of, is my teacher teachable? Is my
Mm.
teacher, what is a master teacher? A
Mm.
master student.
Exactly. Exactly.
This
Yes.
is so important
Mm-hmm.
because so many times people will come to me and say, I went to this retreat and I went and did this stuff and I came back and now this dark thing is talking through me. And I always ask, did you bring your tools with you?
Yeah.
Well, no, they told me to leave everything at the door. Well,
Mm.
okay. So what part are you responsible for your own fundamental growth?
Yeah.
Just because somebody says leave everything at the door doesn't mean that you don't have your own conscious awareness and observation of what you're in.
Right.
And if it doesn't feel good,
Don't do
don't
it.
do it.
Exactly.
It
Exactly.
doesn't mean they're bad teachers.
No,
It
just
doesn't
not for
mean
you.
any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe the point in going into through that process was simply to be able to learn how to have a voice and say, you know what?
I should have
I like
listened.
this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I feel like those are really important key things to bring in. And I understand the AI is scary and it's
Mm,
a big part of our conscious awareness, and coming into these spiritual connections and letting go of old paradigm is
mm.
just as new
It
and
is.
just it is. And it's
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
It's
I mean,
okay.
what are we afraid of? I always say that kind of the greatest gift you can give yourself is surrender and allow, right? When we surrender and allow, any time something is being presented to me, if in my core it says no, I don't argue. If I argue and I go with the head, I guarantee it's not going to work. But when I listen to my core, the same way the core that propels me forward to do something, I trust. It
Mm-hmm.
is that divine intellect that is speaking. It is my compass. It shows me the way. And my heart, when it becomes engaged with it, my heart is in it. My spirit gets excited, and that mind knows what it needs to do when it needs to do it. Now I am in sync and on a roll, and I know what I do will have a meaningful purpose, and I'll be guided to do it in a way beyond even my comprehension.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And I think that's super key and important. And it's really kind of a powerful place to be in.
Yes.
A lot of times people with trauma will say, and I understand this very deeply. They'll say, well, how do I know that what my stomach is saying is the
Mm,
right thing?
mm,
Because I feel scared of all the feelings I'm
yes.
having. And the biggest thing is if you're in a space of fear, if you're in a space of confusion, if you're in a space of I don't know, that's okay, because
Yeah.
that just means you're in the mystery of the unknown.
Ah,
And that's the
yeah.
time to be the observer.
Yes. Okay. I have a thing about fear. Common sense fear. No, common sense fear. Don't put your hand in the fire. Don't walk in front of a bus. You know that fear. You walk past someone, oof, the vibes aren't right. That's your common sense fear. It knows and it's here to protect you from getting into danger. Don't confuse that fear and call intrigue or wonderment or adventure or discovery fearful. Don't put fearful to that. Put
Mhm.
anticipation, exploration. Where would we be if we didn't step into that? We would be nowhere. We'd still be near-thundercal. But take your common sense fear with you. That will protect you on your journey. When somebody comes up, I've got a plan for you, and you go, that's your common sense fear. Say no. Instincts say no. Don't go down that path, however beautiful the carrot is, right? Trust your gut, trust your
Mhm.
instincts, but don't step into fear of having it stop you from opening the door to self-discovery, to exploration of what you can be, what is to be, what else is out there, what else can I embrace, what else can I learn, what else can I do, how else can I contribute. The common sense fear will keep you safe, but don't let the other fear stop you from discovering.
Mhm. And be the observer.
Yes.
Look at what's going on.
Mm.
There's no need to react. We
Yeah.
get the opportunity to respond.
Yes.
And I think the opportunity to respond is a beautiful way where we can go through observation.
Hmm.
One of the biggest things, if I see somebody that has a bunch of followers
Hmm.
and all their followers are serving them
Hmm.
and they're not serving their people in return,
Uh-huh.
that I'm not going to
Nope.
participate with.
Nope.
You know
I
what?
agree.
Because I will
Interaction.
wash.
Interaction. Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
That's absolutely
Hmm.
correct. Because I'll tell you what, right now, there's not one student, there's not one person in my life that I wouldn't be washing their feet
Hmm.
just as much as they would wash mine.
And that's
It
the way it's
goes
meant to
both
be.
ways.
Yes. Is
That's
yes.
right.
And this is again back to that village, is that everybody has a role to play in that village. And when somebody has something happen to them, you're there to help pick them up. When there is a
Mm-hmm.
celebration, you're there to celebrate with them. You could see somebody with doing a wonderful service. It's not for you. You don't need it right now, but you are so connected to the heart of that person. You are going to share what that person does with another because you feel the heart intent behind it. I get asked, who do you interview, Sarah? Because I have 18, 19 different genres. So it doesn't matter what the topic is. But I say all those that come from the heart. If they are driven by the heart, if the heart isn't in it, if their intent is not to make lives better, then I'm not interested. If you're in the six figure and the rah rah and wrong show, I want
Yep,
your
that's right.
enrichment. I want your abundance. I want your wisdom. That's why it's called self discovery wisdom. I want your wisdom to help others on their self discovery. And that wisdom has come from the heart because you opened up to the universe, to the divine, for it to fill your heart and show you the way and gave you the gift for
Mm-hmm.
you to share.
Yeah. And it's a powerful place to be.
Very.
It's, a lot of times there's a confusion what power is,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, power is the ability for me to learn. Power is
Oh,
the ability
mm,
for me to be humble.
yeah.
Power is the
Empowerment.
ability for me to see.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
yes,
Because it empowers, right?
yes,
And
yes.
I feel like if I can come in a good way and
Mm,
learn, like I'm learning from you right now, you're learning from me. We are in
exactly.
this cosmic
Hmm.
flow of each other. And like I can feel our high selves hugging each other's high selves.
Exactly. We're
Like,
having a
let's,
party.
I was gonna say it's a love party, baby.
Exactly. And that is what it's
Yeah.
about. It's like we have to understand that very often the words that we say and everything has meaning, everything has a reason. Like you were talking about the five elements, the different colors, the chakras, right? If you're craving a particular colorful food, very often it's your chakra saying, I need to be fed, I need to be nurtured.
Mhm.
All of these
Mhm.
elements, all of these things are here for us to be in sync. When we're out of sync, then we're in a discombobulation. We're not there to serve. We need to serve ourselves in order to serve others. The other beautiful thing about, which I don't know about
Mhm.
you, but for me, people think I'm an extrovert. I'm actually an introverted extrovert. Because when I'm not doing this and I'm about to move to my own home, which my beautiful children bought for me, so I'm closer to them and closer to my grandchildren, which is a divine gift. This will be the first time in 43 years I'll be living on my own. And people say, aren't you going to be, sad or this or that? I have this beautiful feast of when I interview people. The rest of the time, I can be in silence. But that silence isn't quiet. That silence is constantly showing me things, constantly taking me places, constantly having me learn and feel and nurture and recharge or know where to go next. We're so busy fulfilling all the time. We don't know. Just be in silent space and allow. It's a beautiful place to be because that is where it will transcend you to all those lovely dimensions and places and everything else, where you won't think it's odd. It'll become the
Mhm.
norm.
Yeah, for me, it very much is the
Hmm.
norm. And
Hmm.
I think for you as well. And even with my children, people will be like, you have 5 kids and a grandbaby in that house? How are you guys so quiet?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, my son was playing the bowls. My other son was on the chi machine aligning himself. My other child, my girls are avid book readers. The grandbaby is drawing or
Hmm.
painting. We're all very comfortable with
Yeah.
ourselves,
Yeah. You
that
know how
it's
to be in
not
harmony with each other.
exactly,
Yeah.
and we know how to be with ourselves
Yes.
while we're all around each other.
That's the
I
key.
mean, that's the
Yes.
key. Exactly.
Actually, because it's like in
Exactly.
a relationship, if you can be in a room with your partner and not talk with each other, but you feel each other. There's a conversation going on beyond the words,
Mhm.
right? Not even the look, the essence of you is there. That is when you know you've got the right partner. When you can feel each other, but there isn't the need to speak. That which doesn't mean
Yes,
don't have a conversation. It means allow your spirits to have a conversation.
that's where it is right
Mm.
there. I mean, I telepath with all of my
Yeah.
children, always
Mm.
have.
Mm.
And my husband is the same way, but there's moments where, you know, I'm a girl and I like girl things. So,
Yes.
like, there's girl shows I like to watch. I don't watch scary movies. I don't watch violent movies.
Hmm.
I like to watch comedies and love stories.
Hmm.
That's where I am. If I want to see sadness in the world, I can go see it somewhere else, not on
Yeah.
the TV,
Put on
right?
the news.
Right. So I'm watching my girl movie, and he sits beside me and he's reading his book
Yeah.
and being in his space. And then he'll say, "Oh my gosh, honey, look at this thing I found." And I will pause the show because that is not my priority
Right.
and
Right.
be in the space with him and go down that exploration while
Mm.
he's exploring himself to be support and love him through that and be in the joy of it with him. And then
Exactly.
I'll press play and he'll take a pause and he'll watch the wedding or whatever
Yeah.
romantic thing I'm watching at the moment, Sandra Bullock dancing in the woods, you know what I mean? Whatever it is.
Yes.
And then he'll go back to his book and I'll go back to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think that, so often we have people that come, especially when I'm working with relationships, and
Mhm.
it's like, well, he needs to do what I want him to do. He needs
Right.
to
No.
spend time in this space, or she
Yeah.
needs to. And it's like, hey guys, the question is that first of all, if your partner never changed and they stayed exactly the way they are they enough?
Yeah.
And if they're
Yeah.
not enough, then what is it inside you that's not enough?
We this is, but social media, AI, everything is an algorithm. We're an algorithm, right? So if you're getting all this
Mm-hmm.
negativity or lack coming to you, it is because that is what you're attracting from within. But while people are pointing fingers, it's government, it's this, it's that. And I say there's three fingers pointing back at you. Where's your accountability? What are you going
Mhm.
to do about it? What's your responsibility? And we don't realize, and because we've been conditioned not to realize religion and, government and everything else has been telling us, pulling our strings for so long that we've forgotten how to take accountability and ownership of our own selves, right?
That's right.
And so, it
That's
is
right.
about what are we going to do about it? And yes, I understand you're hurting. I understand you're confused. Been there, done that, right? And at some point, I had to make the choice. I call it the sunny side of the street. I had to make the choice to come out of the dark and cross over to that sunny side of the street, even though it was blinding at first. And I felt the shadows chasing me. I can now go into the dark, for I am the light. Before I was in the
Mhm.
dark, hiding from the light.
That's right. That's right. And that's really funny. Yeah, I was talking about that the other day about hiding in the light.
Mm,
And, we were at dinner. There was this amazing, it was a hilarious restaurant. He was this beautiful Japanese chef who had gone to Long Beach, California to, bring a little bit of American culinary arts to his Japanese venue. And when you go, it's called High Spirits. And when you go in, there's a sign that says, "This is like a tapas. These are small items, small snacks, and you cannot enter if you do not have at least one alcoholic beverage." And my husband and I were cracking up because the guy opens the door and he goes to this other group in front of us. He goes, "Do you drink? All of you have to have one drink because this isn't just a restaurant." And I understood once I
yeah,
got there. I was like,
mm,
"Oh, I'm going to try sake.
yeah,
We're in Japan. I'm going to have a
right,
little bit of sake,
exactly.
right?" So we get sat next to these four beautiful men. They're Brazilian and they live in Thailand. And one of them is a martial artist. He's a martial art teacher. So we're sitting there and we're having our sake, and they're looking at what we ordered and, having this moment. And all of a sudden, he starts talking to us about, what's going on in the world and
Mm,
how we're approaching this and what's happening, and this whole kind of journey he was going on.
mm,
And I just thought, oh my gosh, this is the most beautiful experience for us to witness the diversity and the
mm,
duality of
mm,
humanity
mm,
and how they're all awakening and coming to these
yeah.
beautiful realizations
Mhm,
and really honoring and owning that part of themselves. And the other part that was coming through that I really felt like I kind of sat back and was observing was they were angry,
mm,
but they were
hopeful.
compassionate
Mm,
and hopeful
mhm,
and coming together and
mhm,
feeling this balance. And it was like, okay, all right, I'm really seeing what's happening here. And it was hilarious because I'm thinking, my husband and I wanted to try new food. We're here to
mm,
try new food. And they have, of course, had the salt at the door,
mhm,
which was clearing the energy. And it was such a clear space for me to just be a witness and an observer of what's going on with our
yeah.
other people, how they're feeling, what's coming up for them, how are they approaching that space. And it was really kind of powerful because he's this huge instructor in Brazil
Mm,
and bringing it to Thailand. And I just looked at him and I said, you are aware that where your heart is at is how you are impacting your students.
mhm.
And when we finished the end, he gave me this big old bear hug. He's this big guy. I'm not a big person. But it was powerful because I could see his heart soften.
Mm,
I could see him
mm,
coming into this other space of consciousness. I could see him finding his way back to himself.
mhm.
And that's a powerful place to be.
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm a bit of a chameleon when I'm around people. I'll meet them where they're at, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's my force may be too forceful for them. So meet them where they're at. I'm still Sarah, but Sarah may be on a different channel or a different volume, right? Because not
Mm-hmm.
everybody's ready for that higher volume. But it's really interesting how some people will react where they know you see them. They know you don't have to say anything. They know you see them and they don't want to be seen because they know that they're not paying attention. And then you've got other people that are busy talking and they look at you, okay, you get that, don't you? Right. And sometimes, as you said, you just need to be witness. And then, other people, it's like they may never get there. I'm rarely around those kind of people because my energy attracts differently. But there are those kind of people that it's still very much everybody else's fault and no accountability of their own lives. And that is something we
Mhm.
need to understand. What happens to us,
Mhm.
we may not have a choice. What we do with it is our choice. And the more that we tap into our own beautiful divine essence, we realize we are not alone. We have the collective with us to guide us on our journey all the time, to face whatever it is we need to face when we need to face it. But we've got to go in and meet those beautiful empowerments that is going to help us on our journey.
Yes, yes. It's funny. My 12-year-old, he's a pretty funny little guy. And he came in and he says, and I teach this in part of the process. So part of the process is, accountability,
Mm,
self-worth, being in an awareness, observation.
mhm.
And the other thing is, are you being self-full? And so
Mm,
I'm always
mhm.
asking my boys, are you selfless in this situation, selfish in this situation, or are you being so full? And so it kind of helps them find their own accountability of, wow, I was kind of being selfish there, or
Yeah.
wow, I was sacrificing myself for my brother. And
Mm.
so my son, he comes up to me, he goes, Mom, are you being selfless, selfish, or self full? Because I kind of feel like you're being selfless right now and you need some time for yourself. I was
Oh,
like,
yes.
okay, buddy,
Yeah.
you're definitely teaching mama right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
that's so
when you
important.
know they're truly learning is when they throw it back on you.
Oh, yeah.
I get that from my kids all the time. Mom, you're giving too much away. Mom, what are you doing for yourself? What are you doing for this? And because it's very easy for me 7 days a week to be working and other people, and then other people, but what are you doing for you? Oh, the grandbabies will look after those. No, what are you doing for you?
For
You know,
you.
and yeah, and sometimes I have to look at it and go, but this is for me. No, no, what are you doing for you? And it's I have to look at it sometimes. It's like, yeah, you've got a point there. I haven't been doing anything
Hmm.
particularly just for me for a while. And so it's getting back to that. And we have to understand we need to do things for ourselves, our own pleasures, our own joys, because if
Hmm.
otherwise we're just stepping into service all the time and that selfless can deplete us, right? So yeah.
Yes, yeah, we can be over accountable.
Yeah.
We can be over compassionate. We can be over empathetic. There is a balance in those spaces. And for me, I'm always asking, where's the driver?
Yeah.
Where's the driver? Because if I am in total in integrity with myself and I'm fully walking in my heart space, which is like
Hmm.
100% of the time for me, and I see somebody coming, like for example, maybe they want me to do a business thing with them or
Yeah.
whatever it is, I always look at where's the driver? Are they in
Mm,
service of people? Are they in service of self and others?
mm,
Are they just in service of yourself, using others to put a mask on?
mm.
What's really going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a fact we do have to remind ourselves sometimes, especially if we are visitors. Bless you, especially for all those blossoms from Japan. So, right, so we've got lots of blossoms out here right now. Definitely feeling it, but that is. I feel we've got to have you back on again. There's just so much to talk, and I'd actually love to have you on with your husband and kind of get
Oh,
the
yes.
infinity. I think that would be absolutely wonderful. So I'd love to do that again. And we've got to set that up. But you have a free giveaway. Tell people about that. And then we'll also talk about a giveaway to the one person. But let's talk about the free giveaway
Mhm.
that you're giving away right now.
So, the giveaway that I'm giving away right now to everybody who's listening today and watching
Hmm.
is the Five Elements of You handbook.
Hmm.
It's 22 pages of a beautiful breakdown of instructions and homework. All my students say I'm a huge homework giver. But it's beautiful. It teaches really a lot about, yes, it's about the fire. Yes, it's about the mental. Yes, it's about the water, the
Hmm.
discernment. But it's also about how you work with those energies. And that was
Yes.
one of the reasons I felt so guided to share the story about the koi fish,
Hmm.
because it's the way we're communicating with those
Hmm.
elements. A
Yeah.
lot of times my students will have a homework of go get a bowl of water. And for the next week, you're going to be communicating with that water. You're going to be asking that water how to move and how to
Hmm.
work and how to walk and what it's doing so that you can get connected with that element. So there's so much there. It's
Yeah.
so fun and yummy. It's just basically the beginning.
Hmm.
And if you guys feel guided, you can always go to one of my website, gettailored.love, and sign up for a course we do online, which is 16 weeks. And that's a very, very deep dive.
That is wonderful. Then now, the gift that you have here will go to one person. And what we're going to do is give the password here. So somebody has had to listen or watch the entire show in order to get what this gift is. And you want to give away to one person a live stream ticket to your event in Mount Shasta Lemurian Life Expo. Have I said that right?
Yes,
Mm.
Lemurian Life Expo. You guys are more than welcome to go to lemurianlifeexpo.com and take a look. Lemurian, Lemurian lifeexpo.com. It's a beautiful event with very well-known channelers around the globe. And we are going to be doing workshops, and we have Wendy with us. She's an amazing channeler. We have Heidi, who is an animal communicator. Her show is #1 in
Mm.
Japan right
Love
now.
that. Love, 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 love that.
She's
Yes.
amazing. You will love her to bits. And if you end up coming to the event, you can bring a photo of your pet and she can tune in and do some communication for your pet. So there's a lot of things unfolding. My husband also will be doing a workshop about the bulls and how to live with the bulls and experience that frequency and vibration, as everything is
Mm.
math.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's so much. Just go to
Mm.
the website, play, have fun. The one winner. So, how would you like to do this? You're going to give a
You're going to
password?
give a password. Yep. They have to reach you
I'm
with the
giving a
password. So you're
password.
going to give the
All right.
password. What's the
All
magical
right.
word?
So, the first person that reaches me with this password through my email, Heather at purefectbalance.love, will be the winner of the live stream ticket. Our entire event is filmed and will be live streamed with Spectrum, which is a very, very large production company who's part of our owners for our
Mm.
business. And we are just so excited to have Ken with us. He will not only live stream it, but the way he films it is just like
Mm.
you're there. And I
Yeah.
think that's so yummy and powerful. So the password is going to be Sakura.
Which is going to be
Sakura.
Sakura?
Mm-hmm.
Ah. So if you've heard
Sakura.
Sakura and you want to be a part of this live stream and watch this, you have got to reach out to her. And that's the only way you're
Mm-hmm.
going to get it, and be the first come and first serve. So that is again Heather at the purefectbalance.love, right?
Yes.
Pure effect. So instead of perfect, it's pure effect balance.
Pure facts.
Dot love.
Yes.
Sorry, my dyslexia gets in the way there. So
I'm
and
with
then
you. I'm the same.
yeah, yeah, no, it takes me a while because I reverse letters and things. And of course your site is Get Tailored, TAYLORED.love. And I do want you back again. And of course that gift, if you want to just simply come to selfdiscoverywisdom.com and put in her name. That's all you have to do. Heather Taylor. The show page will come up with the link to that free gift. And as I said, first come, first serve, who gets that wonderful gift. And what an event that will be. Even if you're a first timer or somebody that's really immersed in this, I guarantee it's
Mm.
going to feed you on many, many levels. So definitely,
Yes.
become a part of it for sure. When is the event, by the way?
The event is June 19th through 24th. And we have the live stream that you'll be getting the ticket to is for every
Wow.
single person.
Wow.
So every presenter, every workshop,
Mm,
you will have access to.
that
So
is a
that'll be
wonderful gift.
very, very powerful.
That's a wonderful
Yeah.
gift. Fabulous. Quite envious. I definitely am. And then I want you back with your husband. And I want to take this conversation even further, have him even talking about the AI and everything else, because let's
Yes.
face it, absolutely everything is frequency. Everything is measurable. Every single item has a measurable frequency, and it's tapping into that frequency and getting into the rhythm of it and using that rhythm harmoniously in order to propel our lives forward in a meaningful
Yes.
purpose. So we're going to book that. So that's going to be really exciting as well. And I know that you're still jet lagged. And so you're probably ready for bed at the present moment. And so thank you
Well, we
so
have
much.
kids to get, but yes, that'll
Oh
be my
God, yeah.
goal.
It never ends, right? Never ends. Remember, self-full, self-full.
Helpful, exactly. Thank you
Time to
for
get your
that.
equilibrium back
Yeah.
there. But thank you so much for sharing today. This has been really illuminating. I can't wait to interview, the two of you together. Keep the conversation going. This is where we're going, folks. This is where we are
Mhm.
going. This is who we are. This is what awaits us. And it's been here all the time. But our evolution as human beings is to stepping into it and understanding what it means to us individually and collectively, and what it means to this planet, and quite essentially also to the balance of the universe. So it is essential that we step into this, and don't be afraid of it, because the more you step into it, into the illumination of the love and the light and the peace and the purpose that it is, and the more you actually understand why you're here. So most certainly, let yourself be.
Yes. Yay. I'm so excited. And I can't wait to have you on my show
Oh,
with
that would
my
be wonderful.
co-host, Ruben Langdon. I would love to have that happen. And
That would be
Ruben
fabulous.
is the director, creator, and host for Interview with Ed, which is where people can also see my 2 episodes. I am the last 2 episodes of season 3 finale. And right now, those episodes can be seen through the links that'll be provided. And in about 6 months, it'll be on Gaia.
Right.
So we're
Well, right
very,
now it's
very
on your show
excited.
page. So they can just go to your show
That's
page and it's right there.
yay.
So, as well
Yes.
as this show obviously being on there. And, one of the things I promote people to do is have podcasts, like book clubs, podcast clubs. Everybody listen to the podcast, take notes. Afterwards, glass of wine in hand, good drumstick or whatever it is, feast together and share what you each got from it. Everybody's going to, this hit me, this did that. But when you share it together as the orchestra, you truly understand the impact of the whole story, of the whole image. It enriches you all. It empowers you all. Have podcast parties, enjoy the podcast, and then share what you got out of it, because it will just expand it so much more.
Yes. Yay. I'm excited. May this continue. And
It
thank you
will
so much
continue
for
for sure.
having me.
My pleasure,
Thank
absolutely my pleasure. And to everyone else out there, please don't be afraid to let your elements shine, to step into all of them. Let your chakras guide you. Let your beautiful consciousness guide you. I promise you, it's not here out to get you. It's here to propel you. It's here to show you the way. And I promise you, it's also living in such high elevation of such love and such divine wisdom is so peaceful. It is so clear. It is so encompassing. It's a wonderful place to be. Come on in, the waters are great. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.